Spirituality is one of those needs that you'll end up taking care of after a population of 36, and it will be basically taken care of by jobs rather than by items for the most part. When you first get to 36 villagers, which you'll see in this particular playthrough, I'm not even there yet. I have only 27 so far, and I can't even have more since my dynasty level is so low. Once you get to the point where you have spirituality as a need, you will have already probably liberated a number of regions. You will probably have an entire village inventory full of random items that will say they are for spiritual needs, some of which may include the miniature stupas and the wooden prayer beads and the pearl beads and a number of the other items. Now, you can also craft items such as your Tengai hat, which is a huge amount of spiritual need and is worth great amounts of money, which, by the way, if you need a quick way to make some cash and you're in the later game, this only costs you straw. I mean, check this out. If you want to make some money, 35 straw later, you can have a fairly significantly cash-heavy hat in your inventory. Now, all the others require rope, which is just a supply chain of grass, straw, and then you're set to go. A lot of the outfits can also give you some spirituality needs as well, where warrior monks and monk clothing will give you some spirituality for villagers. Now, I don't tend to like those routes simply because of the fact that those routes require me to have consumables that will be taken away. And while they have a large collection of consumable spiritual needs, those consumables are always having to be maintained. So what I love about spirituality is the fact that once you build one of these items, it is done. You are good to go. Let's look at the spreadsheet. So when you build your first shrines, and your first one that you build is a small shrine, you'll have to build the small shrine first because you have to build the small, then it unlocks the medium, then it unlocks the large. The costs for resources go up and they become more specific with debarked premium, deciduous, and other more rare log types. Although at this point in the game, it's likely that you already have this. It is worth noting that these small shrines do require bark, which is a resource you don't tend to need, so it is useful to have some of that on hand, but not hard to get. Now, the small shrine will end up with an impact on your spirituality of 250, and from there we just increase by 250 every single time. Keep in mind there's only ever one worker for these particular slots, which means you're getting 250 spirituality for a small shrine, and that's it until you get worker productivity unlocked. And then if you build a medium shrine, you will get up to 500 for that exact same worker, which is twice as effective, twice as efficient, and definitely worth doing if you can build it. You end up building these statues using your mining post and the stone mason station. So that is how you're going to get those unlocks, or you can buy them in the temple region from the exotic goods merchant. Later on, the monastery belfry, which you will unlock very late in the game because that is hidden behind the temple liberation area, that will give you up to 1,000 for spirituality. It does not require anything. It is truly the best that you can get for spirituality. It is an expensive building to make, but it is worth it in the end. Now, is it more worthwhile than the Monastery Chozua? No, I don't think so. Because when you have an impact on healthcare of 600 and an equal impact on spirituality of 600, I would rather build 2 of these before building 1 of these in a day. Because healthcare is going to be a constant need, and anytime you can take care of healthcare without having to do consumables is really beneficial to you as a character. So, with spirituality, in a lot of ways, you are going to find yourself just aiming at that first shrine that you can build and then going through it as quick as possible. When we go to our stonemason station, you'll see that the Kame statues are here. Oh, pardon the fact that my villagers are now done working. This is going to take chiseled stone, 5 chiseled stone to make any one of these. Now, they're all the same, honestly, as far as what costs they're concerned. Now, if you're interested more in the symbolism for these, then I did include on the spreadsheet, which I will put a new update to it, but I'll give you a quick summary now as well. Alright, Amaterasu is considered the queen of the Kame and represents the divine right to rule, life, and light. She is basically the sun god of the old Kame system. She is considered the life giver and the giver of divine justice. Her temperance tends to be benevolent and joyful. In the game, you give an offering of sake to her at the shrine, which is in Iwasake. Ibisu is the god of fortune, fishing, and prosperity. He's represented by that full belly and those exaggerated earlobes, which represents wealth and prosperity. And his name, interestingly, derives from foreigner or barbarian and may reflect that early drive in Japan to bring goods and skills from other lands and exotic resources. He is the guardian of children, a deity of good luck and fortune, and he's vital to villages by the ocean, and is often represented by the flotsam that is found in the oceans, the things that wash ashore. And he is shown as always smiling, laughing, and being joyful. When you find him, his statue is in the temple region, and you can offer him cooked fish. Inari is one of the principal kame, and is a trickster, and can be symbolized as either male or female, and can change form. It is interestingly a bridge. Inari is a bridge between ancient yokai beliefs and Shintoism. Represents prosperity, agriculture, rice, and foxes, and is a protector of food and prosperity, especially soil and fertility, or soil fertility and birth. And is often a trickster, causing trouble with people who... It plays a neutral role in a lot of stories and a lot of storytelling traditions. There's always a trickster somewhere. Foxes do tend to be a trickster spirit in many different tellings in many different cultures. And it's no different here for Inari, where Inari can be either good or bad. Inari is fully neutral. When people give offerings to Inari, Inari helps their crops grow better. If they're not, then Inari's been found to be a trickster, liking to become a beautiful woman to mess with men, or other forms. And in our game, in Sengoku Dynasty, a cooked egg is what you offer to the shrine. Chizo is an interesting one, which is a later addition to the kame from Pure Land Buddhism, and may be a form of Kastigara Ba, a revered Bodhisattva from many different Buddhist cultures. And it represents protection for travelers and children, and guidance from torment, and interestingly has a role in liberating people from hell and suffering in hell to then be freed. He is depicted as a small youthful monk, as you see, and often has a staff. Red bibs and hats are used to adorn him, and that he's considered to be the protector of children and travelers, and a savior for those coming from hell, and particularly a protector of unborn children or those who could not make it into the world, and is depicted as joyful and benevolent. And in our game, the offering of a yellow chrysanthemum is given at the temple. Kennen, I will say, unfortunately, I didn't find the temple here, and I believe it's one of the shrine restoration areas, but I just haven't found where it is now in the game, so I apologize. I won't be able to tell you what the offering is as of the recording of this video. If somebody puts it in the comments, I'll make sure to edit it in the spreadsheet. And this Kennen is a goddess of mercy and compassion, and likely from the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, and can take many forms, but in particular here we see the form of the goddess, and is symbolized as the bringing relief to suffering, granting salvation, healing, and social welfare, and is seen as compassionate for their role, and is apparently a much more active and revered spirit in modern times, given the aging population of Japan. And then Ryujin, another one of our neutral gods in the pantheon, is a dragon god and represents the power of the ocean, both good and bad, and we definitely see that with the shrine quest that we have to do. He is symbolized by snakes and rain and thunder, and has often been depicted in art from ancient times all the way forward. And since he is still considered benevolent, although neutral, he represents that temperance of the sea, the bringer of bounty, but the bringer of great power and risk. So his duality often serves as a symbol of Japan, and the fact that Japan is an island nation located on the Pacific Ring of Fire, a very active geological area with very active oceans as well. So he represents that struggle through time with the good and the bad that the ocean brings. And he is symbolized by power and benevolence, but that wrathfulness that's there is still a thing. And then he is offering for our game Sengoku Dynasty is the seashell. I hope this has been helpful, and if you find that you want to use some of the background that I did research on for your shrines, where you place them, what we do with them, Well, then I hope that helps out. Take care, y'all.